What's up, everybody? It's Dusty the Gnar with Backstage Guitar, and this is The Green Room. What's up, everybody? Today is our first episode of The Green Room, and here with me is Tom Walls, guitarist of the Red Hots, and what is it, Tom? Lead SE Quality Control Inspector for PRS's SE line. I know PRS guitars have been putting out some banger SEs lately, and you get to see them as they come off the line.
Yeah, they all get shipped from our manufacturer in Indonesia and China, and we get them in the U.S. and we inspect them all and send them out to the stores.
And we got the new Silver Sky SE coming out that people are psyched about.
That's true.
It's a sweet looking guitar. Comes in a couple different 4 colors.
Yeah, 4 different colors. It's an awesome.
I was psyched about the hollow body 2s. Those hollow body 2s when they came out.
Yeah, the piezo version and the normal non-piezo version. Those things are awesome as well. I have one of them. Yeah.
Great guitars. Get yourself a PRS SE if you don't have one. Tom will have looked at it personally, right?
Yes.
Probably. Dropped him a
Me or somebody in the SE department.
So Tom, how long have you been playing guitar?
I got my first guitar Christmas of 2003, so I kind of think I started late because I was 17. My parents got a starter kit guitar for my brother, actually, and I ended up just playing it as well as him. And then from that point on, I just progressed, got my own guitar, which was a Warlock from a local pawn shop in Newcastle. And so since 2003 is when I got my first guitar, so almost 20 years, I guess.
That's awesome.
2023, it'll be 20 years, yeah.
The question that's on my mind is, when did you consider yourself a guitarist?
I would say probably the first time I got paid, to play. I was in an original metal band before I did cover stuff, and we got paid, but it was kind of not really any money.
Yeah, you're splitting the bill.
Yeah, we pay for the bar tab, we pay for the gas in the van that we had. So I guess then, but really when I did my first cover band and I got paid, because it was we played all night. My original metal band only played for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was more just hanging out with friends and having fun. The cover stuff, the first time I got paid from that was kind of an aha moment, wow, I could actually get paid.
It's different, right? You realize for the first time, oh, the weight of my guitar matters because I'm playing for 3 hours.
Versus, so that probably, I would say, the first time you actually get paid to play music in front of people, to me, is now I'm a guitar player. I've learned enough at home and sat in my bedroom long enough that now people are fine with me on stage and will give me actual money.
Now you can go to people and say, yep, I'm a guitarist. That's what I do.
Yeah, I still, I don't say that to people hi, I'm a guitar player. I say I work here.
Just at the store,
Yeah, but
what's up, guitarist?
Exactly.
Tom Walls, guitarist. Good to meet you.
Yeah, but I would say that's probably the definitive moment for me, at least, that I was wow, this is actually, you could make a career out of it, or at least somewhat earn some type of living.
Yeah, respectable. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was probably, for me, that's the point.
That's awesome. So what did you struggle with when you were learning to play guitar? What kinds of things were roadblocks for you?
Probably, I didn't take any lessons. I got the guitar. Nobody in my family ever played music. Me and my brother the first ones. And then we both started guitar, but then he veered off and started playing drums, which was great because then me and him could just jam.
Yeah.
And we were both at kind of the same skill level on our instruments, so it's not I was way better than him and he was better. We were both learning at the same time. So other than just kind of my own brain, basically, not learning stuff the right way, or getting frustrated and stopping, trying to play everything as fast as the record, that's they always tell you, oh, I want to play Master of Puppets, so I'm trying to sit there and play 216 BPM Master of Puppets riff, but it's not sounding like the record, so I get frustrated and I stop, or so it's basically
God, that Fade to Black solo. How many times did you try to play
that? One, Machine Gun riff part, and one, anything like that it's just my own brain getting frustrated at me for not slowing down and doing it that way. So that was probably a big roadblock. And that's probably, I don't know how to read music or anything, so I was just reading tabs, and some of the tabs are wrong, and they don't know, because you're I get it, it said it was this, and that it doesn't.
I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel on one hand, it helps develop your ear.
It does, yeah.
You know, that you're like, no, that's not right, and you kind of go on your own journey trying to figure out what's right.
And probably it's like I didn't like start like, oh, I picked up guitar and start with like beginner stuff. I picked up guitar and was like, well, I want to play
Megadeth.
Slayer, Slayer, Lamb of God, Megadeth,
Well,
Killswitch Engage, all that stuff. So I didn't go like, oh, I'm gonna do Mary Had a Little Lamb and like Beatles songs or Rolling Stones riffs and chord stuff. I wanted to like riff immediately.
So traditional lessons wouldn't have been up your alley.
No, I mean, I think it turned out okay without the lessons, but sometimes I think like, man, if I had lessons, maybe I would have been better sooner. I don't know. Like,
you're a pretty smoking guitarist, man. I've challenged you to some speed challenges, and every time I walk away with my head hanging. Everybody knows there's only one thing that matters in guitar playing: speed. Tom Walls, I'm calling you out, brother. Meshuggah Bleed Speed Picking Challenge. Better buckle up. It's gonna get wild.
That's one of the things I pride myself on is like being really tight with my right hand, because my favorite guitar players are Metallica guys and stuff like that.
You definitely are, man. That Meshuggah riff, that one video. I mean, I kind of was faking, like I wasn't putting my real effort into it. But after seeing his video, I'll see if I can find the link and share it. After seeing his video, I didn't even want to try it.
Well, the one thing, you wore gloves.
And a motorcycle helmet, but you put the motorcycle
I wore the helmet, but I didn't put the gloves on because I was like, no, I'm going to actually do it.
The gloves were my excuse for not being able to do it. Well, it's the gloves. I can blame it on the gloves. You know,
it doesn't fit. You must have quit. That's what they said, right? So.
Well, I must have quit because I did not get it right. So picking speed, that brings me to, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you did to develop your picking speed? Because that's one of the biggest challenges I can remember in my playing. Things like you've mentioned, Master of Puppets, Blackened, a lot of that straight downstroke stuff, you get tired, like it's hard to get up to that speed. What did you do to develop your speed?
I just kept at it. It's just practice. Repetition is probably the biggest thing. Slowing down also helps, learning riffs slow and then speeding them up. One of the albums I listened to a lot when learning guitar was Lamb of God's album, Ashes of the Wake. And that had a lot of crazy picking in it. So I would just practice those songs and try to play them as fast as I could, and like the record. So it was basically this repetition, slowing stuff down, and also just kind of the way you hold your pick or the way you fan your fingers out. Like if you have your fingers out like this, there's more inertia, kind of like you're using more of your muscles, and also like not moving your whole arm. You just want to kind of just move your wrist, kind of plant your wrist and kind of just move your fingers and this area of your hand. So I found like some riffs are better this way, and then some riffs you kind of tuck your hand in like you're throwing a punch almost. So, and then choking on your pick certain ways. So it's just kind of like trying different stuff out to see what kind of results you get. Sometimes I play a riff with my hand out like that, it would slow me down, but in other riffs it would be fine. I would be relaxed. In other riffs, my arm would start burning because there's like lactic acid like building up in your muscles, and it would cramp out. So a lot of it was just trial and error as far as like technique, slowing things down, and just keep at it. Metronome is also always good. Metronome will keep you nice and tight with the rhythm, especially for like more metal extreme stuff.
Yeah, when we were chatting off cam, you mentioned speeding up even past the speed of the song, and just kind of like, if you can do it there, when you slow it down a little bit, it's almost like it settles into place.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too. If something's already kind of fast, I'll bump it up maybe 5 BPM, even though I know I can't play it. That way, when I bump it back down, it's almost like I'm relaxed at that point. I've already like went the extreme, and now I can come back down a little bit. That works too. I've done that, and a lot of it is just practice, but also taking time to like take breaks and not like overdo yourself with like strenuous activities on your own, because you can hurt yourself if you're not doing it right. Carpal tunnel.
Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to ask about too. You mentioned subtle variations in how your hand is, maybe the direction of the pick. For me, sometimes I think about, but I think that a lot of times people think that little adjustments like that won't be enough, but you found that they are when you think about little things like that. Like how much of the pick is sticking out, or like what kind of pick you're using, or
yeah. I mean, I used to think that like a thinner pick would make me go faster because there's less resistance on the strings, and that's true to a point. But you lose the attack. So I found out with a thin pick, I could go fast, but there wasn't any like articulation in the note. Like if I was doing really like with a thin pick, you wouldn't hear that like individual, like you can kind of count, oh, he hit the string 4 times. It would just kind of sound like one big sweeping, like
kind of
there's
sloppy.
no definition between the hits. And then the other way, too big of a pick, you have kind of too much resistance and it's like too much in your hand and you're kind of like fighting with it. So I kind of go in between, not too thin. Like my thinnest pick would probably be like a 0.88 millimeter, and then the thickest I go is like 1.14. And brand doesn't really matter too much. Like these are, I just custom ordered them, has like band logo.
Oh, that's cool.
From a website. And then shape wise, just like the normal triangle, big triangle ones, or some Jazz 3s sometimes. But like those are the ones I use the most. But like I said, I've gone like as thin as like 0.38 or 33, which are like paper. And they just like fall right across, like they bend across the string, but you lose that attack.
Yeah, they sound great for acoustic guitar and strumming, but
for acoustic
plus
stuff,
they break sometimes. I've had that happen if they're too thin.
So but there's like 0.88 to 1.14 are kind of the ballpark that I'm at.
What about strings? Do strings make a difference in your technique?
Like it depends on the tuning too. Like this guitar is standard with just 10s, D'Addario 10 string or 10 gauge strings. And I go between 10s and 9s kind of. It depends. If I'm tuning down, like I'm tuning down a drop C, I'll use a little heavier strings just so the tension is still the same. But 10s are kind of where I stay. 9s are good. They get a little bit flubby on the top for me. Because a 9 gauge set is a 42 on the top. So a 46, which is this, a 10 gauge string, just seems to be tighter, kind of holds the flubbiness. It doesn't if you hit the string really hard on a 9, sometimes it'll kind of like, go out of tune and come back in, kind of if you hit it real hard. So I find the 10s are a little bit better for me. It all depends on, like, some people aren't heavy pickers, so they might be fine with 9s because they're not heavy pickers. I kind of like to dig in a little more. So yeah, 10s for me. And then like a 7-string set, I use 10s with just like a low B would be like 54.
Right.
And then an 8-string set just depends.
So
on
none of the wacky hybrid sets.
No, I'm kind of traditional with the 10s, 9s. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's cool.
If I tune a half step down, I'll still use 10s or maybe 11s, depending on how slinky it feels. But I can get away with 10s. 2.5 step down to me seem fine.
I never put too much thought into the strings that I used, but I do notice a difference if I switch from 10s to 9s. Like you said, sometimes they just get a little, or they fret out too quickly. I
noticed the difference on, like, when you're soloing. Obviously the tension on a 9 will be a little looser. So sometimes I'll play 10s for a long time, and then I'll switch to 9s, and then I'll go to a show with my band, it's like Sweet Child of Mine comes up, and I'm like way sharp. I'm like, oh yeah, these are 9s. The tensions, my hands are kind of like, it's almost like they're just used to it, so I don't have to think about it. But then when I have 9s, I'm like, oh yeah, I have to remember not to bend past where I'm supposed to be because the tension is a little different.
And we should mention your band, the Red Hots, which is a Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania area cover band. Great band. You guys have a new singer recently. Have you had any shows yet with the new singer? Or are you getting ready to get out?
Our first show is this Friday, February 4th at Catherine Rooney's, and we're excited to break her in with the band and have some fun, and
that's awesome. Pretty high energy band. It's well, you got 2 guitarists.
2 guitarists, keyboards, bass, drums, and vocals, and there's our drums, and there's a bunch of other people that sing vocals. Not just our new singer Alyssa. Like, I sing songs. Our other guitar player Clint sings some songs. Marcus, our keyboard player, sings songs. Our bass player sings a song. So it's kind of like we all kind of get a spot to go up front and take leads, which is a lot of fun. So it's, probably the craziest band I've ever been in as far as like how many shows we've played, and like the most professional, and like it's a lot of work. A lot of people think, oh, you just play in a band and have fun, but it's a lot of work, a lot of traveling. I'm sure you've dealt with that
Atlantic City to Ocean City stretch.
Going up to Boston, playing a wedding, driving right back. A 24-hour type thing.
It's still the road life, even if it's playing other people's tunes. It's still the road life. Sometimes.
And then that mixed with like having a normal day job, it's just It's a lot, but I mean, it's fun. You get to have fun with a lot of cool people and
It's nothing
play
like
songs.
playing on stage too.
No, yeah, live playing. That's another thing. Live playing is kind of where, you get a lot of experience and you can really progress fast on the instrument if you play live. I think like playing in a room and everything by yourself and practicing is great, but playing with other people live is like where you learn.
That's great, because I was gonna ask what you thought the advice to a mid-level guitarist who, earlier I asked you when you started considering yourself a guitarist.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to that mid-level guitarist who really wants to break through to the next level?
Live performing, I would say, is probably the biggest thing. If you haven't done it yet, like and not like you have to form a band and play, like just go out to open mics.
Mm-hmm.
See, they're a band that's like, hey, you want to come up and play a couple songs? I always say would take advantage of that. I mean, if you don't know the song or if you're in over your head, then yeah, make sure you can at least get by and
That's when you just mute the strings and just do the little.
Yeah. Exactly. You just ask them what key the song is.
Yeah.
So that way, if you get stuck,
yeah,
you know where like home base is basically. Like, all right, well I'm stuck, I'll go to home base. But live playing is where I think, or as far as me too, I've just learned so much from playing live. I started in 2003. My first cover band was in 2011, I think, maybe 2012. So from 2003 to 2011, I progressed pretty well. But then from like as soon as I got into cover bands and now, I think I've progressed a lot more than that time.
It ramps you up, yeah.
Yeah, because like I play with so many different people, so many different songs, and like you just learn how to play by ear better. You learn you can predict where the songs go. And that probably goes back to the music theory stuff that I don't have that, but I've picked up on like trends in the song. Like I can probably predict where this is going to go, even though I don't know music theory. I played enough that I know this is probably going here or somewhere around here.
And you play in a lot of different styles. I mean, that's one of the things about being in a cover band. It's like you got to play what people want to hear, whether it's your style of music or not.
Yeah, you're playing pop, you're playing current pop, you're playing old pop, you're playing Motown, you're playing rock, you're playing country, you're playing rap songs that don't have any guitar in it. So you either need to lay back, which is like another skill you need to learn, is not everybody wants to hear the guitar at all the times. If there's no guitar in the song, there's a reason. He probably doesn't need it.
Yeah, you shouldn't wail away on power chords just because that's the chords of the song. Like, it's got to fit in. And
even though like, oh well, this is what the chords are, but if everybody there's no need for a guitar, it kind of jumbles it up. It makes it too much. It's kind of, you need the space in between. So, learning when to lay back, learning when to like add your own little things in there, like a rap song that might not have guitar, but there's a keyboard line. Well, you can maybe mimic the keyboard line or do a harmony. So like stuff like that, but you learn it only by really playing with other people live.
Well, that makes sense if you get pulled out of your wheelhouse, that your chops would, increase.
I was playing Metallica and Lamb of God and Slayer and Slipknot. That doesn't mean, I go, oh, well, those are really hard, so you can probably play the really easy stuff. But sometimes the really easy stuff messes you up because you're not used to it. It's, even though it's easy.
Yeah, the jazz guys call it the in shit. You got to know the in shit. That's the stuff you only learn on the job. It's the stuff they don't teach you.
Like a Britney Spears song is only 4 chords. Well, it's still weird because I'm so used to like dancing all over the fretboard. So I'm like, I got to stay here, and then like your mind starts drifting, and then you mess up. When you're playing metal stuff, you're always focused, so you don't mess up that much because you're like focused on, I gotta play this. With pop songs, you might be daydreaming, looking over at the bar, and then you messed up, you're flat, or you forgot that the bridge is the same chords but in reverse order.
I subscribe to the Bob Ross method of guitar. I don't mess up, I have happy accidents.
That's a good one. I usually, when I mess up, I just look at the drummer, somebody else in the band, and be like,
to look over.
I do that, and they'll tell you I do that quite a bit because I mess up quite a bit.
We all do. It's how well you cover it. It sounds like you've got your method down for covering it.
Yeah. So live playing, I say, is the biggest contributor to like progressing to the next step.
That's awesome. That's what I would say. Yeah, I agree with you. So if you're at home in the practice room, what kinds of things are you working on? What do you have? Go-to exercises, or is it just the flavor of the day?
It kind of flavor of the day and exercises. I don't have like any exercises like that are from a book, or like I watched like Paul Gilbert videos back in the day, so I kind of like picked up some of his stuff, like like three string sweeping, kind of like just doing that, which is kind of like, it's not even that hard. I mean, some people might say it's hard, but I can't do like the big 6-string sweeps, but just keeping it to those 3 strings and just trying to find different melodic things that work. And then sometimes I'll just click on YouTube, pick a song, and just jam to it, improvise solos over it, find backing tracks. I'll do that. For warming up, like for like fast picking, I usually just put on the metronome and just kind of just do down picking and then alternate down up, and then I'll like throw in like little like just do that stuff and like toss them in wherever, just kind of loosen up and get kind of prepared for whatever I'm about to play, if I want to record, stuff like that. But
I'm glad you brought up recording, because I've heard some of your recordings that you post on social media. Yeah. You got a really tight, really clean sound, and I assume that comes from your technique. I mean, a lot of what you put in determines what you can get out of it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You can't go in and post and make it sound super tight and clean if it's not super tight and clean going in.
Yeah, I like to, like you said, make it the best possible sound I can before it even like goes in. So like I use either an Axe FX or the Neural Quad Cortex, which I'm playing through here. Excuse me, and I just go direct in. I don't mic my cabinet or anything. It's all direct line stuff. But yeah, I mean, I try to have it as tight as possible, pan it one left, one right for like a nice stereo mix. Because if you like put it right up to center, it sounds okay. But when you pan them hard left, hard right, it just opens everything up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love recording at home. Sometimes I'll get in like a rut and I'll take a break and come back to it, or I'll do a heavy song, but then I'll like, well, I'm kind of in a rut there, so I'll go and like record some like lighter acoustic stuff. But recording's super fun. I'm still like not too good at as far as like the interface. I use Logic and there's a lot in there. I just kind of have a drum program I use called Get Good Drums and get one of those drum beats.
From Nolly.
Yeah, Nolly from, he was in Periphery.
Yeah. He's working with Neural now, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. He does like a lot of plug-in stuff. So it's him and I think it's Matt Halpern too, the drummer from Periphery. It's like their drum program. So I use that for my drums and program them. I'll just drag them in and kind of like redo the beats or whatever riff I want. And that's another thing. A lot of the times, like I'll write riffs just randomly, like with just a guitar in my hand, I'll write a riff. But a lot of the times I'll actually write a drum part first, or I'll just drag a drum beat in that's already like a stock one and write to the beat.
Yes.
I'll do that sometimes, which kind of makes me write a little bit different. You could probably, if I sat down, I could probably tell you what riff I wrote on a guitar by itself or what riff I wrote that I had a guitar but I was listening to a drum beat.
So kind of the bass snare pattern informs maybe your picking pattern, or
yeah, sometimes. Yeah, for sure. It's totally different if I'm like listening to drums, I have to write a riff to the drums, or if I'm just like, I'm just playing and I'm just going like a normal guitar beat or a guitar riff. But if the drum's going, I have like this like kick, snare, hi-hat pattern. I can kind of pick out different accents that I wouldn't normally pick out if I was just playing guitar with nothing else.
Yeah, and plus it allows you to put some space in it maybe, because the drums are, keeping the momentum going, and
for sure,
now you're writing with rests occasionally.
Yeah, that's another thing. When I'm writing a riff with no drums, I usually write, the riff is like the whole time.
Yeah.
There's no breaks.
But if I'm writing straight notes the whole time.
Yeah. Where if I'm writing with a drum beat, I'm like, okay, I got to write a riff to fit that drum beat. I usually will leave spaces. So that, which usually sounds good. Like spaces can add a lot of tension and like this build up and energy to it. Instead of something just going the whole time, it kind of gets this static. Like, oh yeah, it's cool, but like there's no movement in it. There's no like groove. There's groove, but not like as heavy as it could be. So when you start adding stops and stuff like that, it really just kind of like, I think brings it.
I always just think of the Gent Fathers, Meshuggah, and like back to Bleed, that riff right over the solo, and it's
it has those little stops in it. Yeah, because the original riff, is just kind of going and going. So when it gets to that part, you feel like this shift, and it's not slower, but it's like halftime feel, but he has those little stops, and it just kind of sets it off, especially with the solo going over it. It just, stuff like that I think is underrated, like the gaps, the silence, the little bit of rest between the other notes can add a lot.
Well, I'm not the only one who's noticed your speed and your accuracy and your killer riffs, because I've noticed some PRS videos coming out with you demoing gear for them. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I work at PRS, and sometimes the video department needs somebody to do a demo. Like the new one was the SE Custom 24 that has a fluid rose on it. So they wanted somebody to do some like kind of like whammy bar tricks and kind of like some heavier riffing. So just kind of did that with the video team there, and those things are always fun. It's cool to like
I feel like that's like a beginning guitarist dream, like getting to go out there. And PRS is huge, and you're showing up on their website doing demos for them. That's
a lot of fun, and PRS
yeah.
there. Everybody's it's a cool culture there. Everybody's kind of like
Did you ever stop to reflect on that, like from the guitar pack in 03 to like?
Oh yeah.
Now here I am on PRS's website. Like everybody in the world who plays guitar knows PRS, and
yeah, for sure. I remember having like. Me and my brother, when we first started playing, we would cut out guitars we liked out of like the Sweetwater catalog or whatever, and we would like tape them to the wall. And like a bunch of those were PRSs, like the PRS Dragon, the Soap Bar stuff, the Custom 24. So it's funny to think like, oh well, now I'm there. I've been there for this May will be 14 years. So it's funny to think like that I'm working there back when I was playing guitar. I had like pictures of the guitars on the wall. And then it's crazy to think how long I've been there, too. Like, 14 years. Never been any job that long. I've been at my job longer than I was in all of my schooling, 1st through 12th grade.
Yeah.
So, but it's super fun.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, it's a super fun job. The people there are great. And a lot of, also just being there, it also helped my playing. Just meeting other people who play, jamming with people at work sometimes. Getting to play all different guitars, too, at work, like the Silver Sky SE, which is a different scale length and single coil pickups and different radius on the board. And then I'm inspecting maybe a Custom 24, which is a totally different scale length, and the pickups are different. And also learning about the guitar itself.
Speaking of the guitar, you're playing your PRS employee guitar today, right?
Yeah, this is my Tremonti guitar that I got built
with a stop tail, which is weird for Tremontis, right? Most of the time you see them with the trem.
Yeah, you can get the option with the stop tail, but most of the time people want the trem. I think most of the ones he has, Mark Tremonti, are trems. He has a couple stop tails, but I had this one built after a certain time of service at PRS. An employee is kind of rewarded with a guitar that they can pick the wood for and everything, and I picked this one. It's blue fade and has like flame maple neck.
Even the piece of mahogany on the back looks just amazing.
Yeah, it's got like some flame in it. The flame fingerboard. And I play this guitar all the time. Like, it looks nice, but like there's dings and dents all over it.
You can't see that from the stage.
No, people are always like, I can't believe you play that out and like, scratch
up.
I'm like, that's why I say it's a tool.
Yeah.
It's got some like marks on it from hitting it with beer bottle, or it fell off me at one gig. The strap locks, not these strap locks, but it was the ones before this. They failed. It was, I had one arm like in my pocket or something, and I was drinking a beer and it just fell, and it fell completely flat.
At one of my first gigs, I was 17 playing at the 4W5 Cafe in Wilmington. I think it was called the Wild Child Cafe before that. And I had, my first cool guitar was an Explorer, which is why the logo is an Explorer.
Okay.
My buddy came up and picked it up, and it fell right off the strap, and I just hear this ding, like the headstock, hitting the ground, turn around in slow motion. Guitar was fine.
I was gonna say, it didn't break.
No, guitar was fine, but man, that's a moment you never forget.
Yeah, when I did mine, so we were playing in Cape May, and we were about to start. It was like we were going to start at like 1 minute. It was like 9:59. We started at 10. So I'm on stage. The PA's on. My volume was on my guitar and everything. So when it fell. Yeah, just boom through the whole PA, and people are like looking, and
people
I'm just
start clapping.
Yeah, that whole thing, and the rest of my band's like looking at it because they knew the guitar. I had like not just got it, but it was still pretty new, a couple months old, and they knew like, oh, that was his employee guitar. It's probably messed up, but it actually wasn't. Like I played it, it was fine. It was still in tune. There was actually no dents on it for some reason. It fell completely flat like that. I thought for sure the strings would be messed up and like bent or something, or the switch would be busted off. It was fine.
My 594 behind you took a spill the other day. I don't even want to talk about it, but
yeah,
they're robust guitars, man. Nothing happened that I can tell. So
yeah, this thing is kind of my trusty number one. It sounds great. It looks cool.
You had a killer gold top too. Is that also Tremonti?
Yeah, I have a Tremonti. That one I bought from a friend of mine, Steve Maselli. It was his.
He owned this guitar.
He did.
Steve of Kristen and the Noise.
Kristen and the Noise. He owned that. He sold it. I think he gave it to Guitar Center for trade, and then you ended up with it. So he had a Tremonti, and I bought it and had it refinished, and I play that all the time too. And it's a gold top Tremonti. That one has a trem, and it has a rosewood fingerboard, so it looks same shape, but trem and different fingerboard, and it's gold. But
well, Tom, where can people hear you if they want to hear you? They can check out Red Hot. What's Red Hot's website?
Yeah, it's redhots.com is the website. We're also on Facebook, Red Hots Band, Instagram, Red Hots Band. So you can come see us live. Like I said, I don't know if this will be out by Friday, but we have first gig with our new singer Friday in Rooney's, but we're in the Wilmington area. We do weddings, private events, play in Atlantic City, and then just my personal stuff I write. I kind of don't have a name for it. It's just kind of my own personal stuff. But my Facebook is just Tom Walls, or my Instagram is it Tom Walls? I don't even know my own Instagram handle.
Well, we'll find your Instagram.
We'll get it on there somehow. But
just point downward. That's what I see people do, and
it'll be down here, somewhere, wherever.
I'll make sure in post to put it up here, so you look you look silly pointing this spot.
So that's pretty much it for where you can catch me. I mean, I'm always down for filling gigs too. Yeah.
The videos for PRS, are they on the PRS website? Yeah,
they're on the PRS YouTube channel. They have a bunch of demo videos. Not just me. I'm only on a few. Our demo guy Brian Ewald does most of them. He's an amazing player and demo guy. But yeah, they have a whole YouTube channel with a bunch of content. If you guys are ever interested in any type of PRS guitar, go there. You go to PRS.
Always interested in PRS guitars.
Yeah, PRSguitars.com. All that stuff. All the new models are up there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great gig to have. I'm really glad I've been there so long, and hopefully I'll be there another 14 years.
Well, Tom, thanks for coming on the Green Room, man. You're our first interview.
I know. I'm honored.
I hope it actually presents well, because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. So we're just two dudes on a couch talking about guitar. What could go wrong, right?
Everything and nothing at the same time.
Well, Tom, thanks so much for coming on. This has been a Backstage Guitar, the Green Room video. If you would like to follow us, it's instagram.com/backstageguitar, backstageguitar.com, and make sure to check out all the new features and services we're offering there. I'm Dusty the Gnar. This is Tom Walls, signing off. I guess that's what we'll say.
Yeah, whatever you want. It's your thing.
Signing off. Music.
There you go.